Welcome back to Freedom Friday, where faith meets resilience and hope rises through unexpected stories. I'm Conroy Reynolds, and today we continue our exploration of a story that started in a condemned city and ends in the ancestry of the world's Messiah. Now, you might remember Rahab from last week as the courageous woman from Jericho who hid the Israelite spies. But her story doesn't end with the fall of Jericho's walls. When she hides the Israelite spies and declares to them, "The Lord your God is God in heaven above and on earth below," Rahab makes a radical statement of faith. And that faith saved her household and positioned her to become part of Israel's future. What is less known is that Rahab goes on to marry a Hebrew man from the tribe of Judah named Salmon. They likely settled in Ephratah, which became the Hebrew city of Bethlehem. Now, did Salmon know he was marrying a former prostitute? I'm guessing he did, but we do not know that for sure. What we do know is that it would have been a notable thing for a Hebrew man to marry a foreigner, never mind one who had lived such a lifestyle. It is further evidence and confirmation of this woman's remarkable resilience, beauty, and character that a Hebrew man would be willing to overcome spiritual, cultural, and ethnic barriers to marry her. But the significance of this marriage is that it produced a son, Boaz, who the book of Ruth describes as a man of standing in the community, a wealthy landowner, known and respected by everyone. And what happens next reinforces the idea that Rahab's life and legacy were divinely ordained. Boaz follows in the footsteps of his father and marries a foreign woman, Ruth the Moabitess, the widowed daughter-in-law of a Jewish couple, Elimelech and Naomi. It's not hard to imagine that Rahab raised Boaz to understand the power of inclusion, mercy, and second chances. Being raised in a household that respected all people regardless of their place of origin, Boaz did not hesitate to marry a Moabite woman who accepted Yahweh as her God. In the past, Moabite women had been used to seduce Hebrew men and turn them away from the worship of Yahweh. However, Ruth, like Rahab, her new mother-in-law, abandoned idol worship, in this case the Moabite god Chemosh, and vowed to worship Yahweh. Together, Rahab and Ruth, two women from outside Israel, become woven into the very fabric of messianic hope. Historically, Boaz lived during the time of the Judges, an era of social and spiritual upheaval in Israel. It was a time marked by tribal conflict and moral chaos. And yet, in the middle of that instability, Boaz shows an extraordinary character. Could it be that Rahab's influence helped shape his deep sense of justice and generosity? I have no doubt. So then, from Jericho to Bethlehem, Rahab's story reminds us that God doesn't just tolerate outsiders, he uses them to build his kingdom. Her life testifies to a divine pattern that faith, not bloodline or status, is what God honors. And here's the deeper truth. Through Rahab came Boaz. Through Boaz came Obed, then Jesse, and then David, Israel's greatest king. And through David, the Messiah Jesus, born in Bethlehem, the very same city where Boaz once redeemed a Moabite woman named Ruth. We conclude this two-part series on the life of this extraordinary woman by noting her place in the New Testament Hall of Faith in Hebrews 11:31. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. Rahab's journey from harlot to heroine is a story of redemption, resilience, and radical grace. So, whatever your story might be, whether you're at the city gates of uncertainty or walking around the walls of shame, stay spiritually alert to recognize the opportunities God sends your way, whatever form they might take. Who knows what you will give birth to? Thanks for joining me today on Freedom Friday. If this story encouraged you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that God writes legacies out of unlikely lives. Until next time, then, keep walking in freedom.